Yeah, I joined in the spring of this year, um, and I've been over to our we're sort of global presence. So we've got headquarters here in the United States, and then also in Mumbai. And I've actually, in the 7 months, been over twice to see the team over in Mumbai. So it feels. Someone was asking me the other day, is it about a year and a half now? And no, it's just been 7 months. So
Well, perfect. Well, I'm going to make you kind of repeat yourself a little bit because I think we've got a few people that just joined it. So if you could, again, just do a quick introduction about yourself and kind of
yeah,
speak, kind of walk through the session that we're going to have,
sure.
and then we'll jump right into it.
Okay, sure. Um, yeah, are you ready to get started now?
I think we're good. Yeah, I think from what I'm seeing on my end, I think most people have joined, so we should be good to go.
Sounds good. Yeah. So as Tim and I were mentioning, my name is Scott Lamadou. I'm the head of product here at CometChat, and I have been at CometChat just over 7 months now. I've had a long career in cloud computing, database computing, and whatnot. So really excited to join CometChat and put some of my experiences to use here in terms of our real-time messaging system, our in-app messaging and voice and video platform. So what I'd like to do today is just briefly go over uh, who is CometChat, what is CometChat, why is that useful, just so you kind of get a little context, and then jump into a brief demo, and then we'll open up for some questions and conversation at the end, depending on the time and folks that are sticking around. So again, I mentioned CometChat. If you're here, I'm assuming you know, as the name says, chat. So we're in-app messaging. So that's text messaging, text chat, and you can use that kind of messaging for any use case, really. So sometimes people might get confused and think of this as like a direct intercom replacement or something like that. We like to think of it more as uh, an interface like and a system like WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, those things, except we allow you to keep your users on your platform. So we also include voice and video in our solution. So not only do you get chat like you would see again in these like a support scenario, user chat, messaging in real time, but also voice and video. So you can include calling, and you can do either of those voice and video. So, and you might ask, well, what's exciting about Comet Chat from some other solutions? One of the big things that we like to say is we have a really robust, stable platform, first and foremost. So you can count on us to deliver, again, this real-time messaging, in-app messaging platform, and high-quality voice and video reliably. And we have a global presence, so we have data centers across the globe that satisfy your needs wherever you're at. Um, we're also really developer skill set agnostic, so it doesn't matter what platform you're on, mobile, web, any of the platforms. We have over a dozen integration methodologies. You can use our Android SDK, iOS SDK, Flutter, etc., to integrate with your application depending on your technical stack. We have a really extensive extension marketplace. So we have over 40 extensions that allow you to easily, without any code, extend the functionality of basic chat to do things like chat moderation, profanity filtering, smart replies, sentiment analysis, etc. And we also have extension points. So if those extensions don't fit your needs, you can also do custom extensions to our platform. So our developers really also love our documentation. We have extensive documentation both about our widget, UI kits, and SDKs, as well as our REST APIs. And so it makes it really easy to use any of those, like I mentioned, developer agnostic toolkits, our SDKs and UI kits, to integrate with our platform. So let's see, what else would I want to mention? I did mention earlier, we have a presence here in the United States, in Denver and in Utah. We're spreading. We have some folks in Florida. And then we also have a pretty big presence in India, in Mumbai, and remote throughout my folks in, so let's see, Chennai, Bangalore. Let's see where else am I missing? New Delhi. So we've got folks all over India as well. And so we've got a pretty global presence in terms of our folks. And then again, data centers across the globe. I will actually stop there with any more chit chat about the product. I'll come back in a moment after I run through a really brief demo to talk about use cases and places where this may be applicable. But I'm assuming if you're here, you've already got some ideas as to why you may want to use this. So let me just tee up. Tim, anything I'm missing before I ramp into a little show and tell real quick?
No, I think you're good. I'll turn my camera off for a few minutes while you're presenting. We got a few questions, but I think we'll get them on the back end of your chat widget demo. So I've got a few that have come in, but we're good for now.
Okay. And like I said, I really appreciate everybody joining us this evening. Let me just, I'm going to lose you guys for a second as I start to share my screen. 1 second here. I'm going to do this and get all prepared. Another window. I've got a couple windows I want to share with you, so I've got to get them all sorted properly here. This will look good. All right. Okay.
Scott, real quick,
Yeah.
if you can, we have one question that came in about bots. I want to know if you could elaborate more on the bots and how we use CometChat to create chat bots. I don't know if you'll talk about that in your demo, probably not, but I thought I'd throw that out there really quickly before you get started.
Yeah, I won't be demoing chatbots, but in a second here, I will actually run really quickly through that they exist, and I can talk to them more deeply in a bit.
Great.
So let me see about sharing. Share screen. Let's see if I can do that. Yeah, here we go. All right. So hopefully you can see my screen. Are you able to see that, Tim?
Yes, all good on my end.
All right. So what I wanted to do first before we jump into a demo of the actual application functioning, just run you through some concepts about CometChat really briefly to get you oriented. So what you're seeing here on the screen is our application dashboard. This allows you to create applications, and don't be fooled by the term application or app. When we refer to this, we really mean a container for the functionality that you intend to provide to a specific audience. So this will contain users, groups, configurations of any of these extensions I mentioned. And so if you intend to have a segment of users communicate with each other, you would put them within one app. You can create multiple apps. A lot of times we see folks will create maybe 2 to 3 apps that represent a development, staging, and production environments. If you have more than one app or product that you're trying to surface, maybe it's an internal app to your team to do operations, and then an external app that you want to interface with your customers or have customers interface together. Maybe you have 2 sets of apps. So maybe that would be, in this case, my first app and my second app. And so I'll bring you into an app really quickly, and we'll be able to see here a lot of the aspects of the apps that I was talking about earlier, all of the technology that you can use to integrate. We also have sample apps that allow you to really get a good idea of how these apps function in any of these technologies. So any of these sample apps you see here, and they're also available on our documentation website. Really quickly, I will take you over here. So on our, as I mentioned, our documentation is really looked upon pretty highly by our developer community. You can use any of these UI kits, and they all have sample apps that, if you're familiar with these technologies, you can get launched. It's a clone the repo, npm run serve, etc. You can get this up and running in a matter of minutes. So using these technologies. I mentioned chat widgets earlier, and we'll be demoing this in a moment. Actually, this is the chat widget we'll demo in a moment. So if you're not interested in customizing this application, embedding it in your application, You can very easily use our chat widget, which is easily integratable to WordPress or any website with a small snippet of code. And then you can simply customize the behavior and look and feel of the application, such as not making voice and video calling available, changing the way core chat works, changing the moderation that is available. So you can change the look and feel as well by uploading custom CSS. So I can show that actually here. Whoops, let me go back here. Core chat and notifications. Let me actually select that again. Sorry about that. User experience. So all of these allow you to customize the chat widget so that you can get your own look and feel to the chat widget. So you can actually do custom JavaScript in the chat widget as well, and custom CSS. And so this just takes a simple, if you're going to integrate with the web, I can show you here. You simply copy and paste the snippet of code, enter in your details for your app, and away you go. So I'll be demonstrating that in just a moment. We also have analytics about usage of the app. So you can see here your concurrent users, your peak users, daily active users, and monthly active users. Then we also have any voice and video minutes from any of your calling. If you need to integrate this more deeply with internal processes, you can use auth keys and REST API keys to use our REST APIs to create groups, create users, send messages, etc., from some of your backend processes. You can manage users also through our REST APIs. You can also do a bulk import, or you can add and remove users from the dashboard here as well. We also support custom roles. So if you wanted to provide certain users with the ability to do certain things and some others not those abilities, you can actually change the permissions on these users, and you can also create custom roles as well. Groups allow you to associate people together to talk with one another in a specific group. Not too much different about our groups than other groups. It's a group of users put together to have a conversation with each other. You can manage those here as well as through our REST APIs. We also have message moderation. So as you can see here, these are messages that have been sent. You can also look at historical messages and export those if you want to put them into some other system, do some analytics on them or whatnot. And then you can also delete and block users here, delete messages and block users here. Also, we get a call log. We also support call recordings. Those recordings will be available here. Another feature that is really exciting about our platform that we like to talk about for folks who are doing more user-to-user chat, instead of maybe having this chat be something you're doing with an internal user like inside your business, is in-flight message moderation, so that you can manage the information flowing between your users. So you can block profanity, you can block people who are bullying, things like that. We also have a huge host of extensions you can configure, and this allows you, just with a click of a button and some configuration, to change drastically the behavior of the chat experience inside of CometChat. So I won't go deeply into all these. There's over 40 of these. So going into one for the entire audience is I did enable profanity filtering here, just to make sure we don't make any mistakes today. And then there was this question about bots. So yes, adding a bot. We don't actually out of the box support any automated bot behavior, but you can add a bot, which is basically a callback to a piece of code that would respond appropriately, whether that is some custom code you wrote, or you have an AI library from any provider. You can integrate using the callback here, and then those messages will be sent to that user. And bots are really a special user in that they don't actually interact directly with the user, so they would just be able to respond in there without appearing as a user. And then we also have webhooks, a robust webhook framework. We're currently working on adding a couple more, but right now we have after message and before message. So these allow you to get a hold of the messages that are being sent across the platform and respond to those. And you may think, well, that's maybe limiting, like they're just messages. I can go over this in a little bit, but CometChat, we allow custom messages. So if you use any of our SDKs, UI kits, or our REST API endpoints, you can actually send messages which don't appear to users throughout the platform. And you can use those as actual eventing inside of our platform and use before and after to do some pretty powerful stuff by sending data through our message system. So also easy to change your settings and plans and billing, upgrade and downgrade your plan, change your monthly active user counts and things like that. So I think that's probably enough of looking at the dashboard that would get you started. And I think if I pull these other windows up here really quickly, I can just show you, I have a couple of these chat widgets hosted here. And actually, if I show you here, this is just, as I mentioned, this is just the code I mentioned copied into a plain HTML page, which gives you the full CometChat experience. So we have chats you've already entered into, any users in the system, and any groups you belong to. And so this is two different users here that I'm showing. We're logged in this window as known as Iron Man. And in the window over here, we're logged in as Captain America. And you can actually see their statuses. You don't see Iron Man in this window because that's the user here. And you don't see Captain America over here. That's the user logged in over here. But you can see their statuses, and you can actually see information about them here. So those are user profiles. So we allow you to actually extend this. If you wanted to extend the UI, you can actually do that as well. But you can contain metadata about these users, and then you could enhance this UI, contain all kinds of other profile information than the standard profile we do, which is any photos, videos, or documents that are shared on the platform, which is another feature I'll mention. We do allow you to share rich media messages, so you can share not more than just text. You can share photos and videos and docs and other rich media. You can also block these users. So you can see here, block the user. So if there's any conversations that are inappropriate between users, the users themselves have the ability to block users. And as I mentioned, in the widget in the app dashboard, you can configure that to disallow users to do those things, like banning users, adding groups, all kinds of things you can modify within the chat widget. And so in this case, like I can just here start a chat with this user and say, hello. And then you'll see here that this is actually, I'm starting to get messages from that user. I can respond here. And so the two users are chatting. As I mentioned, this is just simply a JavaScript snippet that enables the entire platform. Again, you can use our UI kits, our SDKs, and our REST APIs to provide any kind of interface that you'd like. This is just the out-of-the-box chat widget that allows you to easily integrate with CometChat.
Scott, we had one question come in. I hope I'm not cutting you off here, but
no problem, Tim. Actually, it's perfect time.
How can we add voice messaging, not voice call, in the widget? Is that something you could walk us through?
Yeah, so actually here, if you look, there's attached audio. So that is totally possible. Also, you can, I think you're talking about voice messaging instead of actual calling. You can restrict this to only audio calling. That is an option so that you can simply have calls without video, only audio calls without video. And then in the chat widget, as I mentioned, there is the ability to enable and disable various features of the platform. But I think the one you were talking about is maybe voice messaging, which this would allow you to attach voice messages to the chat and embed those here. And then you can also, as you can see here, there's a player that will come along and allow you to just play that directly in. All rich media gets rendered as the type. So if it's a video, you get a video. If it's audio, you get audio. So I don't know if that answered the question appropriately, but
I'm getting clarification now. It says real-time voice messaging. I noticed there is video messaging. That just came in. That was the comment.
Yeah, let me just see if I can see here. Bots, voice messaging, yeah, real-time voice messaging. I noticed there's video messaging. Yeah, so I think you're referring to the just allowing you to attach the videos here, I think is what you're referring to. There's also, as I mentioned, I can, like here, if I start this call, you can see that this, I'm gonna have to stop this because it'll get really bad audio if I'll get echoes going and everything, but, or you can start audio calling. I'm not sure if that's the question that's being asked, but
And if we need clarification, hopefully they'll ask. I wonder if it's about leaving like a voice message, right? Versus me calling you. Is there a way that I can send you a voice message that just gets delivered to you? I don't know if that's the question. I'm just interpreting.
Yeah, I think they're referring to the ability to do these again, to leave these voice and video or audio and video messages here. If you as I mentioned, the all of the platform is extensible through our SDK and our UI kit. So if any of these aspects don't apply to you, the widget is a little bit tougher to alter. There is a way to do that. You can actually, let me just see if I can navigate there really quickly. I wouldn't say you should not do this, but it's not the intended approach with the widget. But you can do this actually where, actually, let me just go this direction, widget. And I believe if we do this, you can actually go and clone our widget. And then you can alter the widget using our SDKs and APIs any way you like, which is not really the intended approach. So you can do that. But that would allow you to take the code from our widget and alter it to meet your needs. Like if you wanted to, like you mentioned, leave voice messages, you could have, after the call is ended, record the audio stream and then actually send it as an audio message. We don't enable that out of the box in our voice and video calling that we have leaving a message, but you could enable that through customizing the widget yourself by getting the code doing that.
Perfect.
Yeah. So stop sharing real quick. The sharing sort of distracts me from engaging with you all. So
and I'm trying to look at the chat while you're doing that. So I apologize if I'm screwing you up on my end. Well, and I should note that I think we'll be able to have follow up in terms of if there's any specific questions that we see in the chat that I think we can follow up directly via email with a specific attendee that has asked the question. So if need be, we can follow up directly with that individual that asked that question. One other question that came in was the technologies that CometChat supports. Is there any, I know it's kind of a long list, but some of the bigger ones of the technologies that we support?
Yeah, so out of the box, the widget, again, it's we support WordPress with the widget, and then it's a web widget, means pure JavaScript. So you can embed that in any browser-based application. And then for UI kits, so I think I explained these a little bit, but let me go a little deeper here. In UI kits are, it comes with a sample app, which is basically the chat widget that you just saw. So our UI kits end up, if you just take them straight up out of the box, you can deploy them virtually like the chat widget you just saw, but it comes componentized. So you can take specific components and embed them within your app, whether it's web or otherwise. So we support React, Angular, Vue, React Native, iOS Swift, Android Java, and Android Kotlin. We also have Flutter that has come out. We have Ionic and Cordova that we used to support heavily, which is fading in its popularity. So that's waning. Our SDKs, we have a pure Java SDK, an Android Java SDK, iOS SDK, React Native, Ionic, Cordova Capacitor, and Flutter SDK. So that is no UI elements, just raw code SDK. So you can put whatever UI kit or UI you want to on top of that. And then we also, like I mentioned, have our REST APIs, which allow you to do all of the functionality that we were just demonstrating in any way you like. So you can sort of do that from a back end, a front end, etc., using our REST APIs. And those REST APIs come in basically two different flavors. There are administrative APIs, which allow you to configure the system from an administrator's perspective, adding groups, changing the extension configurations, adding users. And then there are more user-based APIs, which allow you to send messages, retrieve messages, join groups, leave groups, add friends, etc.
And kind of maybe a similar question that's come through. Connecting people on mobile and web in the same chat, is that doable, or is it only mobile to mobile and kind of web to web?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, the concept of the app. So that concept of the app is a container for users, groups, messages. And let me just share my screen real quick again to kind of demonstrate what I was talking about there. There's our REST documentation for our REST APIs. Let me just find that screen again real quick. Where was I? Sorry about that. I think I've lost it. Let me just go back. So an app is a container for a set of users that you would like to be able to interact with each other in some way, send messages between each other, join groups together. And so any platform that we support, as I mentioned, any of our SDKs, any of the UI kits, so on iOS or Android, on the web, any users that are a part of this app would interact with each other regardless of what platform they were on. So if you wanted to have different apps for so users on a specific platform only chat on that platform, you could create other apps, platform specific apps. But generally speaking, we find that our customers want to have users communicate across all the platforms. If they're at their PC, they're logged into chat maybe on the web, and then they get up and they walk away. They're on their mobile device and they're log into the app there, and they're chatting in this with the same users there. So I hope that was clarifying in that regard, Tim.
Yes.
So the answer, yes. Users in a given app chat with each other in groups, etc. All the behaviors on mobile, web, any of the mobile platforms, iOS, Android, etc.
Perfect. And as I mentioned at the beginning, I don't know if for some of them weren't joining, I oversee events. So I get this question a lot. So this was a question that came in. I'm going to kind of paraphrase it. But I'm a small company. I've only got a few users right now. How do I use CometChat? What's the value for me now? I'm not big enough yet. What should I be doing?
Well, I feel like, Tim, I know the work you do at the events and whatnot, and you're primed and ready to answer this one. I feel like if you'd like to field it, I'd be more than happy to
the boomerang question.
Yeah,
I love it. No, that's fair. That's fair. I get to see people all the time. I just tell people, look, you got to start somewhere. We've got a free plan. So we've got I think it's up to 25 users. You can a free forever plan. So if you simply have just a few people going, you interacting with you, whether it be voice, video, or text, I think really now's the time to start, because you don't want to do this down the road when you've already got a large user base. It makes it harder in terms of trying to figure out what's your engagement strategy, how does chat fit into that. So I think you really want to start from the get go. I think now's the time to do that. And I could tell everybody, the build versus buy, that's a question I always get. We always really strongly encourage, and this is a little self promotion, but do the buy, right? I mean, obviously chat's what we do all the time. So don't look to do that. I tell people candidly, even if you use somebody else, don't build it yourself. Yeah. Don't use your resources and time on that. So this is the time now when you're just starting out, when you're just small, to really think about it, to set yourself up for success moving forward.
Well, I love your answer, Tim. I would add, if you're starting out with a small user base, we love that. We've got plans for that. As you mentioned, the free forever 25 users. And then we scale up really gracefully from there. As you grow, you can easily grow up with whether it's growing in terms of the number of users you have. So we allow you to continue to increase your plan to get the benefits of scale in terms of pricing as you grow with your users, but also scale in terms of experience. So you can easily get started with one of the lower plans, which gives you a few less features, but a really robust set of capabilities in terms of chat. And then if you find that chat is really working for you and enabling you to expand the experience your users have in your app, you can also go up the scale in terms of features and functions that you might need. And so getting started early is a great idea, and we have plans for that. And I really appreciate that add-on question there about build versus buy, Tim. But as I mentioned at the start of this real-time app, I don't think people often consider the complexities of writing the code to do something like this. And then, there are some off-the-shelf options that you can run yourself. You don't have to write the code, but you can run it. And I would tell you really quickly, that also gets to be a pain you do not want to manage. And so we've got a team of awesome engineers and awesome DevOps engineers who both write, run, maintain this system. And it's not something I would wish upon our customers. So
Perfect.
yeah.
I see a couple more people have joined, so I just want to make sure people have joined here kind of midstream. You missed the demo on the chat widget, but I think we're going to send that out post events. So you'll see that if you missed that. But again, we've got a question section, so if you want to ask the questions, I'm helping Scott kind of go through those and answer those where we can. And on that vein, one more came in. So again, if you've got a question, feel free to type it in, and we'll get those answered. Is it possible to display many docked widgets on the screen to allow users to chat with many other users using the docked widgets?
Yeah, I think you're talking about basically having maybe multiple chats with multiple users open at the same time. Um, I'd have to check on the ability to export. There is a way to dock the widget. So the widget I showed was sort of the widget as a whole. You can actually, and let me see if there's a screenshot of it, because I don't know if I'll be able to quickly do that while we're standing here. But let me just see if I can go into a dock. Yeah, so let me just show here. There is a way to do this, and I've just got to check about how easily it is to do it for a large number of users. I know you can, but I've just got to figure out what the limitations are really quickly on the number of users. But let me just share my screen and show you what I'm referring to in terms of docked. So I believe you can see my screen at this point. So what I was showing you was the entire chat widget. So if we just go back here, let me see if I can find that one. Yeah, so yeah, I don't think we have a screenshot of it. Let me just go back and I'll show you here. So this is what this is the embedded chat widget looks like as a whole. But as you can see here on this screenshot, docked layout. This is a docked layout, which is any page you want to embed this in, you can embed the docked layout. And you do have the ability to embed that for a specific user. And you can embed multiple. So if we look here, like chat with a particular user. So you can actually just call a method from our chat widget in your own JavaScript in your page to say, from say a page that lists your users for some other reason in your app, in your page, you can use this to launch the chat widget in dock mode with that specific user. I don't know of the limitations in terms of number of widgets and what happens when you if you go beyond the limit of like the screen. I think you're gonna have to manage that yourself in terms of, if you open a ton of them, the layout of those docked widgets. So that would be one thing that I was a little bit hesitant on the number you could get and what happens when you go over the sort of the screen limit. But yes, you can do that. You can do open and close. You can do that with groups. So if you had the same circumstance where you want to chat with one user and you wanted to open a group chat, you can do those, and they open in this embedded style, like you see here.
A follow-up question came in from the same Same person. Yes, but it's not displaying several docked. It is only replacing the available widget. So see if you can see if that makes sense.
Yeah. So you're saying the widget itself is replacing the embedded layout with the new user that you would call. I'll have to check. There is a way to do that where you can do multiple. I believe it is creating multiple chat widget objects. So I'll have to check on the exact method on doing that, but I believe it's creating basically multiple chat widgets in the same window.
Okay. If the person asks that question, look for a personal follow-up if we can. We'll try and get that answer to you via email or connect with you on that one. I know we had one more come in. Sorry, I'm going through my note here in terms of where I had it. You had mentioned it, but maybe the person had missed the beginning part. It was talking about offending others. How do we keep people from bad behavior or offending others?
Yeah, so we have a couple of things. We have profanity filtering. So we have a default set of profane words in our profanity filter. And then you can actually, I can actually bring that up real quick and let me share that real quick. Share. I'm actually going to remove, I think I have some words in there, and to spare the audience, I think I will remove some of these words. Just let me get those out of there. All right. So let me share my screen. All right. So if you, in the chat widget, you enable profanity filtering. I won't mess with that in the chat widget. And then you can actually modify that within the settings of the profanity filter itself. So you turn on profanity filter, and then you can either choose to drop messages that have profanity or not drop messages. And if you choose to not drop messages, it will just obfuscate replace the messages with asterisks. And so then you can use our default list, or you can add, bad word, big bird. You can add your own set of words as well. And so this is a comma separated list of explicit words. And so that's one way. As you can see here on the screen, you can also do image moderation. So you can block unsafe images. Another really good one, if you have a open community, this is not as useful if you're doing this sort of inside of a corporate environment or providing this for like a set of folks who are in some way related to your business. So if they're like brokers and whatnot, buyers and brokers, maybe not as useful. But for an open community, report message and report user is pretty valuable. So you can have a user report a specific message, and then you can take action on it. This actually allows you to have moderation settings within the dashboard here, and the same with report users. So you can say, hey, this person was abusing the system in some way and offending me, and report that user. The end users can do that. Another one that is really useful is sentiment analysis. So, if you're trying to manage, say, like a classroom setting and you're finding students are frustrated, if you're dealing with customers and they have a negative opinion, these kinds of things you can moderate as well through there. Data masking, as it mentions here, phone numbers, emails, etc. So I believe that's probably the kinds of things you're referring to. And all these things function within the chat widget. You just need to configure them here, and they function in the chat widget.
Perfect. We've got time for one or two more questions. So I want to make sure people, if they want any last minute questions, I want to get them in. But Scott, this is a personal question for me that wasn't on the list, but I've used this as an example at events when I'm having conversations with people when they're talking about, say, a dating app or a e-commerce site where there's a buyer and a seller. Can I put in a parameter of certain things, like i.e. phone numbers or bank routing numbers or random things where a trend where I don't want them to share personal phone numbers, where, for example, if I want to take the deal offline and go around the commission, is there certain things that I can block there? Or do I have to be very specific on words?
No, actually, there's we support any regular expression. So, and to be honest, if you're having trouble, regular expressions aren't the easiest things to write. But if you're having trouble with that, we can help you out. But yeah, so in the data masking extension, we support regular expressions, which mean you can filter out anything that you could think of in terms of characters that you could define. So, a set of characters followed by some specific symbol. Maybe it's dollars. So you don't want to share pricing. You could filter out prices, phone numbers, addresses, names, all kinds of things. So, yeah, any regular expression you can write will work with our filtering. I think that was the question you were asking, Tim.
It was. Yeah, that was my own personal one. So yes, thank you. That helps.
Threw me a curveball there. Yep.
No, that was the list so far that's come in.
Right.
So we've only got a couple of minutes left. And I, again, just want to thank everyone for coming. I know either it's, morning time in India there for some of the folks that are registered there, late at night here for us here in North America. For those that have stayed up with us tonight, thank you for that. We're going to try and alternate different time zones to try and be accommodating for different people. So again, look for those invitations as they're coming through in the next, couple weeks. Again, we're going to start doing this as a regular cadence and hopefully connect with people. And again, all of our answers or all the questions that have come in, we're going to try and respond personally with some updates. If you didn't get the answer in depth that you wanted to, we'll be able to follow up with you one-to-one. We can take that dialogue offline, so to speak, to have that conversation. I just want to thank everyone for coming. And Scott, especially thank you for doing this. Thank you for walking us through the chat widget demo. Again, if you missed that, if you weren't able to attend the first part of the session, I think that's going to go out post event to people on an email. So look for that in terms of a link to that. We'll have to cut it up and stuff. But thank you everybody for attending. Scott, I'll give you the last word. So if there's anything you want to say before we close up here.
Oh, thank you, Tim, for hosting. I appreciate it. And thanks everybody for joining and asking really exciting questions, and just appreciate you being here. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, everybody. Yes, and enjoy the World Cup for those football fans out there.
All right, everybody.
See you, everybody.
Bye.